Everybody in this place.
All together in the punch bowl.
Looking good this weekend day.
Okay, good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank. It is the 60 to 90 minutes of intellectual conversation for fathers, with fathers, about fathers. Tonight we're going to have a very nice topic. Is actually, these topics sometimes come, people bring, people share. Sometimes we take, calls from audience members, but I was actually doing some work this weekend in fatherhood, and something came up that was really important. And that's what we get in this nice topic. So I'm Dr. Ron, the Fatherhood Think Tank curator, mentor, uh, educator, therapist. And welcome to the Fatherhood Think Tank. Before I introduce our fathers for the night, I'm going to go through some of our sponsors. And I would definitely always say to you, like, if you're watching now, and you're saying, "Hey, man, how do I come on there? I got some comments. I want to share." Just hit us on the line. I mean, if you're looking at this from the um, Facebook or Instagram, the log is there to just log on. So, it's no funny business. We're just here to look for other fathers to have conversation, um, and kind of hear what we have to say, and know what's going on. So it's never a dull moment. Let me go through our sponsors really quick. Starting with our first sponsor, main sponsor's always been there. Fort Lauderdale Brothers, the Zeta Chi chapter of Omega Psi Phi. down in sunny. I don't know if it's sunny today. Is it sunny down there, Ed, today?
Yeah, it was kind of sunny. There was a
Yeah.
lot of clouds, but
Okay.
uh, a
Because
little
it's
sun.
definitely not sunny here, but just sunny Fort Lauderdale. Zeta Chi chapter has been sponsor of our programming for a long time. We also have our key sponsor, Jag Attorney at Law, Miami-Dade, Broward, West Palm Beach. If you're looking for attorney, Jag Attorney at Law, attorney Johnny A. Gaspar Esquire can be reached at J. Gaspar at jag1law.com. Phone number 305 827 8087. And if you want to see what type of law he provides, what thing he got going on over there at jag1law.com is www.jag1law.com. You check out his website. You can definitely see what he has for us and for you as we're looking through. And tonight I'm going to be showing this a couple times because it's part of and it almost goes right into our conversation. The Fatherhood Call Center, the Help for Dads. That number is 1-877-4DADS-411. It's offered by the National Responsible Fatherhood Clearinghouse and Father Incorporation. It's gonna go kind of like into our conversation tonight, but I wanted to be able to offer that number, being that tonight's topic is, and what we're going to be kind of talking about is man to father. Who do you call when you're at your lowest? Or who do you call? Who do you speak to? As I know well and clear here at the Fatherhood Think Tank, normally we talk to each other here, and a lot of times what we end up doing is kind of working it out here, the think tank, or even calling each other and kind of working some of those things out. But I know that the multitudes of fathers, men out there, they may not have that place to call and kind of discuss some of the things, and I know for sure that there is a place very much needed for men who are fathers to reach out and hear from other men and fathers, and get advice and just think about and be able to even just have opportunity to have what they have going on and thought about validated. And so let's kind of get to some of that tonight. We're gonna go right into going to our fathers that are here tonight, and we're gonna get this conversation started off right. Good night. I see my old man Vince here, and always a staple at the Fatherhood Think Tank, brother Tenney. You guys can introduce yourself, and we can get this conversation started. Lightborn will be here. He said he's running just a little bit late, so he should be popping on any minute now.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Ed Tenney. I am a transitioning to a single dad of three adults. They are age ranging between 31 and 37. I have one grandbaby and two in the oven. So I got
Two in the oven now.
two in the oven. So it was just revealed by my oldest son that he and his wife are now with child. And so that'll be grandbaby number 3.
Wow!
Grandbaby
Congratulations.
number 2 is due Christmas Day, and grandbaby number 3 is due in June. So I'm excited.
Well, you see how that See how that just flips on you just like that?
Just like that.
You go from being a dad to a granddad, like back to back to back. Oh, it looked like we might have lost Vince. Vince was in the car, so you know
Yeah, I saw him driving.
that connection might not be working so well, and but I know he probably is gonna kick back on. So oh, yeah, there he is right here. Hold on, let me just get him back on the platform. Hey, hey, Vince, we see you got clicked off.
Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, guys. How you doing, man? I ain't see y'all in a while, man. It's a blessing to see y'all again. Man, listen here. My name Vincent, and I'm a dad of four. And I've been through a lot. I'm actually getting off of work right now. But I see you done sent me the link, so I had to pop up. It's a blessing to be in this type of circle because the knowledge that y'all been giving me as a father for my kids is I feel like it's a once in a lifetime, and I wish that you know this monumental to me because I wish I had this when I wish my father, not me, but I wish my father had this when I was getting older, so he wouldn't be as lost as I realized he was as much older I got, and as a father I got, the more I realized, damn, my father was just winging it, and he's an island, Bahamian dude, and he was just doing the best he can in what he knew. Because
Mm-hmm.
people from the islands, they more strict. They're more like when it comes to like tradition, they're more stern and firm to a lot of stuff. So yeah, so this right here made me realize I can be the provider, the breadwinner and everything, but it's okay to have a team. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't always have to be my significant other as a team. I can have a village. Cause that saying of it take a village to raise a child is real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you're even talking about that, I think that this is what we kind of get into this conversation because we know that we do take on this domineering, the patriarchy mindset sometimes as a father, right? And so often we don't. Who are we taking our counsel from? Now, the way traditionally it should be taken, in the way I look at it, many times, usually you should take counsel. I would say definitely from your own father, right? So you would take from his experiences, where you learn from him, and then also take his counsel as a person who would be the best advisor, or male father figures that you have had to support you in that. Secondary, my true feeling is that next should be your actual partner. Your partner should be someone that you should be able to. And I know a lot of men have an issue with sometimes as fathers, we feel like, hey, we don't want to burden anybody, and we definitely don't want to burden the people that depend on us, right? For those things. So that the next person I would say, and then I would say even in the next level, and you find this out later. Maybe you don't tell that to your 13-year-old son or daughter, 10-year-old, but when you have and you're a father, you're still facing things. You may be able to talk to your adult children, and they have some insight, and it's so amazing because I think the insight that they can have is so related into the genetics of who they are based on the nature that you have passed down to them. So they have some the things, and they understand some of the inner dynamics of how you operate and how you don't operate. But they're a whole different grown up individual who can at some point. And I speak directly from my own experience with that. And I say a lot of that with my own father. So when I'm saying that, I'm not just I'm just kind of just saying. I'm saying that in the place of having a teenage father who in my younger years he was just a figure, right? Not living in the same place, and he was just that figure. to this point of our life, being two men, is a completely different dynamics. I mean, we bounce things off each other, and it almost goes in, And I say this, and I want to hear what you think about this, Tenny. Almost to the point, the first person I'm going to ask and have a conversation about serious things, and this didn't happen in the past. It happens now. Serious things is I go to hear what his counsel will be, and vice versa. He goes to hear what my counsel will be about certain things. We have discussion about it. We bounce those things off of each other, and we move to. And sometimes what he says, I say, okay, I'm gonna check that. I might do that. Sometimes I'm like, that's so out of my vision that I won't even look at it. So I throw that. Well, let me get Lightborn in here first, Ed, before you jump in there. And let Lightborn introduce herself. Good night, Light the Born.
Hey, good evening. Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Lionel Lightborn. I'm a father to a tribe of 7 young adults, 3 young women, 4 young men, 1 granddaughter, 1 grandson, and it's always a pleasure to be here.
So, Lionel, I know you didn't hear what we were just saying, but the next topic is men to fathers. Um, who do you call when you're at your lowest? Um, and with that conversation, I was just sharing the idea of how me and my father have become that like you don't have like a best friend, but we have become that kind of connection. I was just tossing over the Ed, and being to see has he kind of found that in the same, and I kind of know some of getting sometimes asking these questions, some because Ed has said in the past how son has his sons kind of come in a certain way, but just to throw it over to him to hear from his own experience of has he experienced that in a sense.
Yeah, as I've mentioned before, now that I'm, in a transition period of where I'm becoming a single dad, it's been very humbling and blessing to have my oldest son step up and come in and help to counsel me, help to work on my self-esteem, my all those things, and it's just encouraging to uh, acknowledge how wise he is, how um, his ability to see into the context of me and uh, actually kind of switching roles as far as being a coach to me as I go through these various things. So it's been a very interesting relationship that he and I have. I appreciate it greatly. But it's interesting, with the topic. I'm still not sure if he's the one that I would call if I'm at my lowest. I still feel like I wouldn't want to burden him, with issues that I'm going through. Um, as I kind of think back to um, when they were much, much younger, I would consider myself extremely blessed to be a part of a large church that, the guys uh, would specifically get together who wanted to be better fathers, who wanted to be better husbands. And, we'd get together in these group settings and, that would be our topic of discussion. And, we kind of hold each other accountable and all this other kind of stuff. And that, I wouldn't, trade those experiences and knowledges and wisdoms from those other gentlemen for the world. I think, God truly used the wisdom of those guys to be able to help pour into me, and I'd be able to glean, what I'd applied to my own kids. And I think as a result, looking at how my kids are today, I think they are truly the beneficiary of, me being um, humble enough to be around other men and acknowledge that, I don't know everything as a dad. What do you know? If, given this circumstance, given this scenario, how would you handle it? Because I may not have been able to uh, share any experience at that particular time, but they may have gone through something and be able to impart some wisdom. So I'm very thankful for those opportunities. And I think I'm just, right now seeing the um, blessings and benefits of being a part of things like that. But as of right now, I don't know who I'd call. Ghostbusters at this point.
But no, look, listen, my phone is always open to you, my brother. So definitely, and I think Lightborn will say the same thing. We are listen. And when I was bringing it there about my dad, I wasn't saying it in the sense, and I understand exactly what you're saying. I was just saying that in so people can have an experience that the idea that some people will say, well, I've been with my dad all my life and I've talked to him and this and that. I'm saying that we have grown as these two men who I can really talk to like that. And it has some benefit because his mind pattern, I have his genetics, his way of operating, and some of the way he's operated and the way he moves is in me, even though I may not move completely like that, right? So I can also get the warning of what not to do based on his own past movement in those cases. But I think that again, you need to be able to have this place where you can actually speak to people genuinely. And I think that's a big part of anytime I'm saying to people coming to people. I think that most people would say, hey, I might I'll say this. The outside of this being my profession, right? Outside of the profession I have, I think as a nature, my heart has always been to hear people and what they had to say because what they may have to say will definitely have a message to me. And in many instances, people will say, well, you know why you gotta listen to everybody. And I don't, it's not that I want to listen to everybody, and I'm here for everybody. I think that when God puts you in a place to be available to do that, there's a reason why, not just for them that you're doing it. I think it becomes very people and people use this word sometimes, reciprocal, transactional, but sometimes it's used so negatively, right? But sometimes that transactional time that you may spend with somebody, um, especially another father who is dealing with something and you're able to hear and talk to them about it, changes dramatically for you of somehow that conversation goes and how you may even move in the next step that you make or how you move or how you even begin to think about things. Like I know many times I've thought I've had the worst day, the worst everything. And then I spoke to one of my colleagues. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I better put my big boy pants on because that's nothing. It's not. It's hey, I not discounting what's going on with me, but realizing I'm still a little bit more blessed than somebody else at that moment. And so that it is a point to be able to listen to them and share that, hey, it'll be okay. And a lot of times I tell people it's not going to be okay. I think that's the part of being genuine, right? The genuine, oh, it's going to be okay. I remember the time somebody came to me, and I said, I don't know what you're going to do either. And they They was like, I thought you. No, I don't know, because I'm trying to think what I would be doing. I don't know what I would do, honestly. But I'm here for you. I'm here to, and be here to do whatever we need to do. So I think that's a big part of looking for that. Where do you go when you're at your lowest? Because I know that when we are at our lowest and we don't have somewhere to go, we go to a lot of things that sometimes not good for us. A lot of things.
Well, thanks for sharing, Ron. I had the opportunity to think about what you're saying, and genuinely, um, I think sometimes, I don't think most times, if I had to, I'd always take a step back. So the first person I'm going to go talk to is myself. I'm going to always consult with me first. When I'm actually going to consult with God first, that's always a given, right? I'm going to ask Him for some type of guidance, and it's not a very long, drawn-out conversation when you're asking God for guidance, and particularly when you're grieving something. And so I'm going to ask Him from God for guidance, and you know what? And every issue doesn't warrant a conversation. Some issue may warrant a nap. I'll kid you not. Some issues. So, and sometimes you may have to retreat in yourself, and it's amazing what a nap can do. Because I've had instances in my life where I can hear me better when I'm asleep, which is the weirdest thing for me. Sometimes you can see yourself, or you can get the very guidance that you seek in a dream or something like. But sometimes that nap can bring about clarity, and allow you to hear yourself in ways you just couldn't hear yourself when you was awake. And in most cases, can't hear, because all of it, particularly if it's good, it's going to be God anyway. And so that's one thing. I think the second thing, if I'm going to seek out counsel from a human being or another person, and then I'm not going to really go to the experts. I would choose an advocate over an expert, and I'm going to tell you why.
Right.
An advocate tend to have more sacrifices, in depth, less accolades, but they'll still do it. You understand? They live it. That's the difference. So it's not their job; it's their journey. That's the difference between an advocate and an expert. An expert, that's his job, but an advocate, that's his journey. So he never, or he or she never stops improving on what it is that God has called them to give to the world. And so I'm not saying I wouldn't seek expert opinion on different things, but when it comes to matters of the mind and the body and the soul, I would more likely lean towards that advocate than I would an expert. But other than that, that can be anybody at any time. I have an array of experts. As a matter of fact, you guys I would consider experts. So it depends on the topic or the issue or the particular crisis or the concerns. I would call Ron in place of Teeny, but if it's something that Teeny have strengths in and you don't, Ron, then I would end up calling. Wisdom would guide me to call. You understand, the people who would be an advocate for this particular topic or this particular concern.
And like point, let me say, as you saying that, let me just add to that what you're saying. It is so important that this idea about experts, right? Experts is not what somebody else determined. Experts is what we have determined based on our experience with that person. Because it is about experience, but you can know a person and they can have the expertise in what you need better than the alleged expert, right? And how they handle and what they tell you. So I agree with that 100%. You can be surprised how the man on the street could give you the information.
Correct.
That you went to the big house and paid $350 for, and you could have just dropped a dime in the man on the street bucket, and he would have gave the better, not advice, but he would have given a better advocacy.
Correct. And then I don't want to deny the immediate expert and advocate that's rolled into one, and that's basically the people around you, like your spouse. You know, we'll have these conversations, but I'm like, you may need to talk to your spouse because you may need to get an answer. You'll probably get an answer out of a woman you couldn't really get out of a man because she want the same thing you want, or she may want more for you than you want for yourself, or she may see you bigger than the situation you see yourself small in. And so it depends on what kind of counsel you need. You may just not need advocacy counsel. You may just need affectionate counsel, and that's the importance of your wife. You may need accountability counseling, and that may come from your children. I mean, I'm not afraid now. I mean, my kids are adults, but I think when I asked them and I put them on the spot to ask them, you know, what type of father I was or was I a good father, I think I had a situation which was really because I didn't ask the question for that response. Asking a question to my son, I took him out to lunch, and we was at Flanagan's or whatever, and I asked him a question just out of the blue, just making conversation, and I asked him a question that he just wasn't prepared to answer, and because, and let me give you a backstory on it, because he, out of all of my children, his mom is the only one who's not here, and so when I asked him a question about me, like what type of father was I a good father to you, or something to that nature, then it triggered something to him, and now, you know, he's in the and he's trying to hold back, but then he says I'm a good father. He gives me a short answer, and then he goes straight to the bathroom. And then my wife, she told me, she's like, maybe you need to go in there and check on him. And I was like, you know, I just wasn't ready for that response and stuff like that. And so it triggered something totally different. And sometimes, which was back to what you said, Ron, you can be doing a self-assessment on your worth, right? And not understand how much of what you're going through may trigger somebody that's going through something even deeper than what you're going through. When I went into the bathroom, of course, he was bawling out, trying to compose himself. Because you're in a public place, he's trying to compose himself. And, you know, I told him, I said, I asked, you know, and I didn't, I didn't go in his space. It's just something about a wisdom that tells you when a person needs to be touched, when he don't needs to be touched, and the fact that he separate himself from, you know, in the stall from everybody else, just told me he needed his space to himself until he can get himself composed. And I was like, you know, that wasn't the response I was, because I think I was looking for a response for me. You understand? Which could have seemed selfish at the time or whatever. It wasn't really intentional to be selfish, but it could have been. And I asked him a question that he just wasn't prepared to answer. You know, and he wasn't prepared to address, because that particular question to him seemed like a memorial question when it may be just a memorable question for somebody else. And so that was a very, very hard moment to understand that his mom has been, I would say, she's passed away 12, so 14 years now, maybe 13 years. And
Right.
he still have a lot of unpacked hurt and emotions he was. And then, of course, anything hurts him, hurts me. So um, I was like, I could have really been wise in approaching it. And I could have really been wise in asking 6 of the other ones who were in a better place to probably answer that question than he was. So I could have used a lot more wisdom on that. But that's just one of the situations. But I'm going to digress and hear what you guys got to say.
You know, that's a really good point that you're making, Lightborn. And this is you know where what makes fatherhood somewhat difficult on the genuine level than the superficial level that people sometimes look at it. You know, it I know this. I hear how so often people will say, "Hey, you're not a good." How good dads are not, right? But then also, I'm gonna tell you, I hear on the whole nother, because of where I am at and where I involve myself in area with people. Hear a lot about this guy's a good dad. He's a good father. He's a good father figure. He's a good stepdad. He's a good, he has these good qualities. And what happens to on both places, with good and bad, I always wonder is when we are hearing that, who are we telling? Who are we telling our feelings about that to, right? And I go right back to what I said. I said it's three tiers. The first is having a mentor type person. Then you have a partner. Then you have your followers, right? So those three tiers. I just made that up on the spot, but I presented it earlier. So father-like figures, your partner. So your partner, it could be your spouse, could be your child's mother, or what have you. And then it also could be the people under you who look up to you. It could be your children. It could be people learning from you. It could look, one of my and I give praise to this young person all the time, that they have taught me more grace and taught me more than I think I taught them. They say I taught them all the time. You taught me, so you showed me, you've been there, but they have really did that more for me than in my mind, And so it's one of those places where you're able to say, and I can go to them and say, hey, here's how things going, and they can either bring me to a place, and it's real because of the relationship, and I think that's a big part of when we're looking at what is that relationship, how those relationships operate. So I definitely feel that you're saying.
Teeny, I see them wheels turning. What about you,
Oh,
Vincent?
yeah, it's Vince's turn.
wanted to touch on that, man. What Lightborn even said and what Dr. Ryan said, like the stuff like that y'all talking about. Like I look up to y'all guys right now because I'm a young father, but at the same time, I'm not that young. I'm in my late 30s, going on my 40s, and it just showed me that I don't care what you're going through. You gotta stop thinking that you don't have nobody you could turn to. You gotta find the person that you could trust into. Like I know there's times I was on my last or I didn't have it at all. I know I could call Dr. Ryan. If I had Lightborn number, I know I could probably call him and see if he could help me out or if he could give me some type of resources. So it's just not a matter of fact of shutting yourself out to the resources that you do have, and knowing that um having the humbleness and discernment to sometimes humble yourself down to the point where you can talk to somebody that's not of our generation and still learn from, like you said, your son, or if not him, a friend. You'll be surprised, or even a significant other. That what y'all hitting on is impactful to me because I'm going through the process of learning how to trust again. Not because I didn't trust, because I know what I've been through in my personal relationship with my significant other, and we had our ups and downs. So now, if we trying to build that back up and just at least co-parent or be around each other, I know that I have to have a transitioning state of learning how to still trust, even when she hurt me. You know what I'm saying? So it's very impactful with what y'all saying when it comes to learning how to uh, go to somebody for the guidance of being a father and learning how to still communicate and getting that language out there for you to be able to be the best father you could be for these kids.
Mm, definitely. And I think as I hear you say that, Vince, um, just sometimes being able to work that relationship out with our significant others and partners is a big part. Um, I know we have I think sometimes as men, if we have a phobia of looking weak, right? And we don't want to look weak. We don't look like we don't have it under control. But I really feel many times that just my experience with women, that when you have a good one, let me preface. let me put some preference on it. When you have a woman who is with you and for you, uh, even if not for long term, who respects you as who you are, we have to have a little more trust in them as well, that they're there to support us and will support us. A lot of times people will say, I ain't, they deal with their relationship part and value the rest of the relationship with, the significant other or their partner. And I say sometimes we got to look at those, look at, can this person is this person the person that we can really sometimes go to and they lift us up in our lowest moments. And sometimes they very, very often you will be surprised how they will. We have to, but I would say this: we have to manage it. It's not them who needs to manage it. I think sometimes what happens is they can provide and support us, but we sometimes don't know how to manage it, and that's what makes it difficult or awkward in some ways, of not being able to maintain that. And I know that I don't really have a great example of it. I love to give examples, but I hope people are understanding when I say this. It's not like they're doing it. It's just a genuine of who you was, who you are to them, who you've been to them. One of the big parts is for many mothers, in many instances, they will do stuff because you are their child's father. And no other reason why, because they understand the connection of who you are and how you relate to them, regardless of what our real relationship is with me and you. And hopefully, in some sense, you have that back door that happens. The back the back
You know
door
what?
of, because of that, your relationship gets better because of the back door of the relationship with the child.
You 100% right. Because my son's mother, who passed away, we were best friends. I mean, literally, you would not known that we had a child together. That's how close we were. But I think we got to get off, because somehow I believe naturally we segregate ourselves, right? We just naturally segregate ourselves. I mean, you can go to a conference. The conference can have a breakout, a little. I'm talking about on all levels, because I've been in all types of conferences, and in types of all types of rooms, and you can see people just break out and go back to their tribes. Anytime they have a choice. If you don't give them reserve a table for them to sit at, and they just had a choice on what table they want to sit at, you'll see people break off in their tribes, be it cultural, gender, class, intellectual, whatever the case may be. So I think because we do that so much, we do it within our own personal lives. And I can't figure out for the life of me, because this is just a revelation I got just listening to you, Ron. And when you said about the mother of your child will help you, because simply because you're the father of her child, and the reality is the reality, your family. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing you don't really hear people really say. I'm like, you understand y'all family, right? Because that's the reality of it. But we will segregate that situation. Well, that's just the mother of my child. I'm like, no, that's your family. But I don't know how we successfully segregate on when it comes to parenthood, and separate ourselves from being the family of the mother of our child, when that's really the reality. But you rarely hear people say that. And so, with that, I'm saying that to say this: I think my greatest strength, right, came and comes when I know that I'm weak. That's when I became strong. I was never fully strong. Those was facades and placebos. I really never became strong until I realized when I was weak. And that's when I was at my greatest strength. Because when I realize when I'm weak, then guess what? It gives other people, or better yet, it gives me the opportunity to rely on other people's strengths. And so again, I remember I used to always say, I ain't say this in a long time, but I say it right now, and I live by this philosophy. I pride myself on being. They're like, well, how would you, when it comes to your writing, your confidence and stuff like that, where would you put yourself on the meter? Are you at 100%? Are you at this and that? I'm like, I'm out at 50%. I think 50% is a safe. I'm not even as safe as a, but for me, it's a more scientific number for me because again, it tells me I put me at 50%, give somebody else um, the opportunity to be right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm never at 100%. I'm only at 100% when I'm just as effective as the world that's around me or something like that. So I'm just a part of this process at this particular time um, of being here, and I realize that I'm humbled by it. You understand? I don't over exaggerate my what do you call it? Over exaggerate my importance.
Right.
Even though I understand service is better than status. So service status is not a big deal. I'm learning how to be and still learning how to be a servant. And when I learn how to be a servant, I can value people better. And so even when you guys was talking, I remember you guys were doing another show. I hate that I missed it about a friend. For me, and I'm weird like that. Everybody that I ever made friends with and had a friendly moment with is a friend of me. I never segregate myself to circles and stuff. I know it sounds popular. Oh, you're small and Jesus had a circle. I'm like, only circle Jesus had was the world. God so loved the world, he gave his son. So Jesus was never relegated to a small circle. I don't even know. And people took that and manipulate that because he had 12 disciples and said, oh, there's the closest people like that. I'm like, you're not that important. Let me be very clear. You will never be that important. You understand? Jesus went to the world because guess what? The majority of people that impressed Jesus was not in his circle. So you better stop limiting yourself. That's all I can tell you. You want to have some great experiences? Guess what? Run into a woman with an issue of blood. Run into a woman at the well. Run into a blind Bartimaeus. That's when you have some real issue. That's when you become some real power. But until then, you just status waiting to become service. And I think that's just most of us. I know that person very well. Oh, I'm done. Y'all can you can go ahead.
Well, I mean, like boy, you hit some, as I'm listening to, and I'm sitting here, thinking about, that place when you are at your lowest, and I think we touched all. I mean, I think at first you said first place that most people should, you go to as you go to your God. You touch that base first, and then you go to whatever level of connection and who you have that connection with. That many points, and let me tell you the part that's so ironic, that when you do go to your God, right, and then you go to the next person, the first thing they're gonna say to you most of the time, they're gonna point you back. They're gonna point you. So what God say about what you think God? It's like this. It's like, and so then you kind of also know that this person is the right person that you should be now taking it to the human level with, because you, like you said, you first as man gonna think about it, then you're gonna go to what your first step is, then you're gonna go to your next step, and your next step is going to point you ultimately back to your second step that points you back to you. And so I think that's a unique triangle, sometimes for us to find ourselves in. um, and it really validates the idea of that you might be doing it the right way in that context. I mean, and this is me. Again, I'm not about to say that. What I'm saying is the way of being way. I'm just saying that as we had this conversation, that thinking tank philosophy came into my mind as you talked about it, and as we're having this whole conversation, we're coming through there. And this is again, this is a shameless plug to the think tank. This is what happens. This is what should be happening. You should not have conversations that in these kind of conversations that don't enlighten you to come up with theories and ideas. for yourself and for how you're going to handle certain situations. Sometimes people just say, man, go just do this. And it's easy. That's an easy way to handle it. Just do what somebody else did. And then guess what? When it's wrong, you'll come back and say, man, I ain't going to do that. So-and-so told me to do it. And you say, what so-and-so told, I ain't telling you. The person going to say, I ain't telling you to do that. But they did tell you. But it's that whole trick, trick in the bag. Don't come blame me for the decision you made. I was just talking to you. I should have never even said nothing to you when you brought it to me. I should have. But I do believe if you're going to give a person some advice, I think maybe you should tell anything to them. You really should make them think about what they want to do. You can give them the pros and cons, but I think that don't leave it that you become the person when they're at that lowest place that you are the one who gave them the light. They should give themselves the light. Going back through the triangle. To me, back to your God, back to yourself. And then you make the decision. Because ultimately, whatever you decide to do, going to be based on you. Not on me. Because you can come to my house at 3 o'clock in the morning and be like, man, I lost everything. I'm going to say, come on in, man, sit down, relax. You lost everything. Man, you made me lose everything. Hold on. I listen. I hope I didn't make you lose everything. But again, that goes when you have that conversation that go person to person. When you don't bring other, when you got direct connect to you and another person, you need the triangle to help you stay. I usually don't say triangle's good, but that kind of triangle will be a good one for you when you're in that place. Because it puts it back on the person and puts it back on that third that should be there first, right? That third that should be there first to make them make decisions on how they operate. I sometimes get so technical with this stuff because I start thinking of it like that. I start breaking it down. I'm still looking at almost looking at symbols and objects as we had these conversations and thinking about how to manage those out. And I hope that people can see that. I mean, again, we're not here just to have a conversation, just to rap and to hear ourselves talk. Our conversation is hopefully for other people to hear and think about and say, hey, maybe I could try this in my life. Maybe I could, think about who is that person that I go to when I'm at my lowest. And reevaluate, is that the right person to go to? Because you can go to some person, they say, man, go get that chopper, man. Get this all. Go get that chopper. We'll handle everything. That's probably not the best person to tell you to go get the chopper, man.
Yeah, I find it interesting that even that question in and of itself, I don't know, from my perspective, it can be so situational. I'm not sure if that's the right word to use. My children are, in their 30s and beyond. So I guess I don't necessarily have any parenting lows or fathering lows, because they seem to be self-sufficient running engines right now. And even as I think about transitioning, as a father figure, I'm still a father figure, but I'm more of a coach / consultant, type of person, if you will. So I'm blessed in that, the three of them seem to be, they're just doing their thing, and I'm just allowed the pleasure of just being able to watch and see them in their successes. I I think the reason why I mentioned the word situational now is that I never thought that at the age that I am now that I would be in the position that I'm in, and the low moments that I've had, uh, as I go through this transition, um, man, there's just like nobody that I know uh, comes to mind that I feel like would be able to uh, offer me any advice, because I feel like my situation is so unique. Uh, it's unique to me. Um, when I look at being a single man, a single a father, um, when I think about my singleness, man, I think I was single as an adult from 18 to what, 22. So I only had like 4 years of being single experience. And now I'm in the situation where I'm facing singleness again at my age, and I just have no clue, of what to expect or anything like that. And I imagine that as I continue to expand my circle and open myself up to other gentlemen who may be in similar circumstances, they may be able to offer some words of wisdom. But I guess at this point, because of my situation, um, it's at times, um, the accentuation of aloneness, uh, hits me a little hard because I don't have a significant partner at the moment to be able to rely on or to talk to. Um, it's kind of interesting, and depending on a man's situation, I think that may also uh, relate to the topic at hand, about why they're low, when they're low, what's causing their lowness, and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah. Wow. That's. Listen, as I'm listen, folks. As I say to the audience out there, if you're listening and you're following along, maybe your brain is doing like mine, right? As I, Ed just said some things that like that I. It may not be what he said, but I'm calculating what he said in the mindset of, look, some of what I might be even being at my lowest is in relation to not having that person to kind of talk to at my lowest, right? In the way that I would want to, and who could identify. And these are the kind of compounding type of issues that many times you won't hear men talk about. You won't hear father talk about those things. They'll just make like everything. Listen, when I've watched uh, in the relationships, right? In the relationships, you look at classic in the relationships, men be okay because they found another woman to get under, and the women are still hysterical, still lost, still in a place like, what's happening? I can't believe this. They have this time frame a lot of times. And people assume that the men are just okay. We be okay. A men, they moved on. Your father died. You don't cry. There's so many things that is an expectation of us as men and fathers that is not an expectation of others. And just the idea of even expressing that we do have those feelings and those things do happen to us, and we are affected by them, becomes a big part of who can we even tell that to, that we're not vulnerable in a vulnerable state where people are beginning to look at you. And I think sometimes it's in our mind, we think people are going to look at us a different way, but I think that I found in my work that people don't look at you at a different way like that. They look at you in a different way to say, how much strength you have in being able to recognize and identify that in yourself as men and as fathers, because we don't. And we'll, a man would be like, hey, I lost my whole, and I sent this out to a line brother of mine. That's gonna come on, just if he wanted to talk tonight, because he made a post. And the post was about if, but let's just say he has had a lot of deaths within the last month, like on top. And he called me last night. We kind of talked, and I was like, yo, that's kind of the reality. We're gonna have more deaths at our age than we ever could imagine, and you're gonna be dealing with the people that and he posted a picture of his relatives and saying how many of them were still there. And I was just telling him, brother, that's our cycle. At some point, they're going to be going. We just got to hope, stay strong that their life and that we enjoyed the life that we enjoy with them. It's those kind of conversations that he could able to have that conversation with me, but the chance of him having it with somebody else, or even speaking, was probably none. He probably didn't tell her, he can't really talk to his wife because she's still dealing with the passing of her father. So it's like you don't want to almost go into this place, pity party or trauma party or loss and grief party. So you just kind of try to find a way to find it. And he made like a huge, it was a funny thing. He had sent me like a post, a joke. I mean, it was like a joke, but I don't know if I tell you so much a joke, but here it is. He was saying, hey, this would be my post for tomorrow. Please don't piss me off by dying today. And again, people would see that post and think about, what is this guy talking about? But again, that's the way that he could say what he wanted to say, but people don't really know what he meant by it, right? I know what he meant by it, and they could take it any kind of way and go with it, but I know that he was in a lot of pain, and we, just thinking of losing so many people back to back to back to back to back. And then that, we know that loss starts to affect our own mortality, right? So we start thinking about ourselves in that same way. And men think about it a lot more because we also thinking about it in our mortality of us going away. How many people are going to be affected by us going away? What my wife, what my kids are going to be able to do? Oh, my family that I'm the centerpiece of most of what happens. I go, what's going to happen with them? Sometimes you begin to put all of that onto you, in dealing with other people's, passing and moving on to the next life and to the next place. So it's deep. It's deep. I just say to the think tank audience, it's deep. It's deep.
Tina, you really triggered something spiritual in me because as you was explaining yourself, or that he had given your I'm gonna say it's a confession. I'm trying to use a better word than confession because it's really not a confession. But you was being just pouring out your empathy and dealing with what you're dealing with. Um, I was like, wow, when you was talking about something that nobody you rarely hear it, you rarely. As a matter of fact, could have really hear and understand what you said until you actually said what you said at night. And so I'm like, wow. So that's what that means. The Bible says when a man findeth the wife, he findeth a good thing. I think I understand what it is. I'm like, what you're saying is, I miss you miss that good thing. And I think people confuse the good thing with this person or that person. The God Bible didn't say, "Oh, when you find a wife, you find a good person." It said, "When you find a wife, you find a good thing." And so I think you missed that good thing that you was aiming to be, and that you continuously be, because being married makes you a good person. That's the good thing in the marriage. And so when something is a foundation, you understand, and that foundation, anybody knows if the foundation of a house is messed up, it's gone. Everybody knows it's condemned. And so with that foundation of that marriage, be it good, bad, or indifferent, that it's still, you understand, the thing that's the good thing. It's the thing that holds both of you to, the good in both of you together, whether you aspire for it or not. I can remember being in a relationship, a particular relationship. I was so happy for the relationship, I didn't even know that the woman unhappy. And people always ask me like, I don't even see how you got in that relationship. It just wasn't. It doesn't make no sense. How did you not see what everybody else could just see on the first date? I said, because you know what? I saw what I wanted to see. See the difference? And doesn't mean. And I'm gonna say this to anybody, especially to people in general. Don't let nobody making the good that you wanted to see bad, even if it turned out bad. I saw a good at the time that I wanted to be good. Even if the person treated me bad with it, it doesn't make that good bad. I just saw the good I wanted to see that the other person just didn't want to see the good that I saw at that particular time. So the relationship just didn't last. You understand? But I saw it so much. That vision was just so indoctrinated in me. I just went and invested that whole envision in that particular relationship. And I just assumed that person was just a part of that vision. What they say, write the vision, make it plain, and the people can run with it. Okay, that person wasn't ready to run with that vision because that person didn't have the level of joy at that particular time for that particular relationship that I did. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I was happy enough for both of us. It was almost impossible for me to see if the person was sad, mad, or whatever the case may be, or I had them checked out or was never there in the first place. Because that's the point in my life that I just felt like, and the thing about reaching some type of that type of happiness, you just ready to share it with everybody, the world. You understand? So when you're truly happy, you're not skeptical. People may say you are, but I'm like, you're not. You're just ready to invest in everybody closest to you and around you. You're ready to share with everybody. Doesn't mean you're not gonna get betrayed with it. And I'm like, and not only in relationships, I've had that happen in friendships. I couldn't see um um the enemy my best friend may have been. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't see that because I was just happy for the friendship it is. So you can be you can be solid
Right.
in that friendship. You can be solid in that relationship. And it's not a bad thing. You just gotta not let it break you because that's your greatest strength. And it'll come around and happiness will come around again. And I guess what? I found somebody who was more than qualified. I mean, when did God say, I'll give you double for your trouble? Then I got my double. That's all I can tell you. But I had to have the trouble first before I got my double. So I understand when a man found it right, he found it a good thing. And because you rarely hear men enjoy being married. And that's what's, I think, hard.
You know what? Like, boy, you say that, right? And this is a new, listen, because I think that so often a lot of men didn't choose to get married, right? This goes into my philosophy about non-consensual everything for men, right? When a man, you'll find when a man chooses because he wants to be married, he'd be like you, happy. You chose to marry your wife, right? You're happy. I mean, I can see it from the time we spent in Orlando. Even my girl was saying, they are so happy, right? I can, it's such good energy, right? And I know exactly what you're talking about when you see the opposite of that, right? It's like somebody had put the shotgun to him, said, Yeah, you got to get married. You gonna have to get married to her. This and that, and then you see and feel that energy always around. So I'm saying to a lot of men that I'm talking to right now, be sure that you want to be married, because don't do it because it's popular. Somebody else wants you to do it. Because if you do, you are not going to be being your genuine self. You're
No, but
gonna
what I'm saying is, and this is on Teeny's behalf. Teeny enjoys being married, and we rarely see that as men. That's what I'm trying to say. And so because we think, and I'm going to be honest with you, marriage is usually the last thing when it really should be the first. And I'm just going to be blunt with it. It really should be. I said, because when it becomes the first thing, we miss so much of ourselves in life. You understand? Because we never gave the good things a try. We done labeled all the bad things good and all the good things bad. Right. And so the fact that I could see a man that really enjoyed me, I'm like, wow, you really have somebody like we see husbands and guys talk about being married and stuff like that as some type of obligation. Mm-hmm. And here's a guy on here showing and saying, no, I had the appreciation of it, not the obligation. It was never an obligation for me. It was always an appreciation, and that's what I aspire to. You understand? And because I have the wife that I do, she mentored me in that. She's an emotional and affectionate mentor that you may never think that you need, because men need, just what we always talk about. We need a professional and all this other mentor and social mentors and this and that. But I'm like, you need some affectionate and emotional mentors as well, which is what wives are, and particularly good ones. And so I think because Teeny did experience that, I think because he was on both ends of that, he just wanted to share. So guess what he said? You know what? With his first wife, it was that. You understand? And it's not nothing wrong to actually share that, and particularly with the ratio that women and men are up against with that, for particularly with people at a deficit. Teeny can find, I'm going to be honest with you, Teeny can be married 10 more times before his ex will try to achieve one. That's the reality. You understand? That's the anxiety that goes on in society, and particularly with women. And so I'm just being honest. You hear it in scientific studies about the biological clocks and stuff like that. All of that stuff really points to as anxieties for the things we really won't talk about. For the ratio of men to women, only particularly because men, we live so recklessly. You understand? Had we live more holistically, it'd be more men available to women after the ages of 30 and 40. And so the fact that you can find a man and actually see a real guy that really appreciates and enjoy and you understand what it is and to want to be married is very rare. And then can articulate it. You understand? Because most men will go in contrary to popular belief, we are a lot like dogs, because when dogs, I'm talking about dogs in a good sense, because dogs are loyal. That's number one. When they find something in the master to be loyal to, be it God and a spouse, whoever he ordained you to be with. That's number one. But number two, at the same time, when that dog suffers any type of loss, or he feels that he's at his end with, he doesn't burden society or his master or the house that he even come through. He goes and find a place to go die. That's the dog, the life of a dog in a nutshell. And so the fact that you value what it is to be a husband, you understand, you can probably go around and do TED Talks and teach on that, because we don't have a clue of what that type of joy really is. And you hear people talking about, oh, it's work. I'm like, no, it's joy. It's not just work. Yeah, it's work, but it has to be more joy than work, because who likes work? I mean, I can appreciate what I do, and I can appreciate having a job, but do I like going to, do I look forward to getting up and going to work every day? I'm like, I couldn't tell you every day. No, but I like getting up and looking forward to seeing my wife every day. And so how could I ever compare that to a job? So I think there's a lot of misnomers out there that needs to be straightened and corrected. And I think Teeny conversation is a very good place to start.
Well, Brother Lightborn, your insight into that, I believe is truly spiritual in that. And I appreciate that perspective of he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And that, man, that's me. That is I. And I appreciate those words. I'm probably gonna download this this episode so I can transcribe the words. They were very profound and very encouraging. So I appreciate that. Thank you, brother.
You're more than welcome, fam.
Listen. Listen. I can't express enough the power of this conversation and how. Listen, I don't know if people realize the power it has for us, and we're having it. The power it has for people who might be listening to it, right? And I think, Ed, you just said it, like being able to stop. And I know because I do get the feedback of the conversations. People, say, that was, right. I just let you know, Ed, you are, in the what's the thing they have, the ratings or whatever. People really wait to hear what you got to say. It's like, what does the great Buddha have to say? They be waiting. They wait. They waiting, and at the end,
That's me, the light board.
My wife is a fan. My wife is a fan of that of it as well.
Listen, I'm telling you, you have a rating where people wait and say, "Hey, what are you gonna say?" Because they stand by. What you gonna say? Me and Light Boy, we kick around. We got whatever. But if people really wait to hear what Confucius gonna say, and what great, and it's not that you got these great, that they say, oh, the theory. It's like it's very relatable to people. I think in a place where they understand that you come in a very, very, very even place to say, hey, this is the fact. But I think that also comes into what Lightborn said. You have a spirit for marriage, right? You have a spirit for partnership, and sometimes that it can be heard in your words, in the things that you say. And because I'm thinking also, the rating is it is the women I think that listen to the show who are like I think like one say are the fans, like they like he got the right word. Oh, yeah, he was. I understood what he said, and again, this is what we're doing this for people to be able to hear, think about, listen. We're doing it for ourselves, also to have our own place to be able to talk about, these topics. But I think in the bigger point is for our society, larger society of men and fathers out in the community to have a place to log in and see and hear and be able to take some of the experience and some of the conversations, some of the hypotheses that we come up with and run with them for themselves. Not telling you, very different from other platform. People tell you you should believe this and you should do that and this the way. It's more of a here's a smorgasbord of ideas and ways for you to think about how your fatherhood and manhood is going, and take what you can and build the best meal for yourself, for your family, and for your children, for your and your partners. And I think that's where it is the best benefit. Um, I just want to say thank you guys tonight. Definitely, because it was. I feel after these conversations, I feel exhilarated. Right. Maybe because I feel like I'm doing something that's meaningful. Like it has nia. To me, we use this term Swahili. Purpose is nia. We are doing something with nia, and then that's a big part of what we're doing here. And it's not just chewing the fat. Is really work, not just for. And again, I think that and the reason why I say it has purpose, because also have purpose for us, right? It has a purpose for us, and when we have purpose in what we're doing, it has purpose for other people. I think a great point, and Vince, I know Vince has suggested that. I know that some of the guests, some of the people in the background here are saying that this is really inspiring to them. What I'm going to do is since Vince is not here often, I'm going to give you the last word before we get up out of here. If you just want to say and share anything before we get ready to close out for the night.
Before I say anything, man, I want to thank you guys for even inviting me, and I appreciate the knowledge and wisdom that y'all be passing down to me. And the number one thing is, man, like that's deep that you said that. When you find a wife, you find a good thing because I was married before, but I was married young, and at the time when I was married, I had a situation that I was in love with. She was in love with me, but I found out, I got cheated on because not only was I naive, I married a Haitian girl. And the Haitian girl, I didn't realize she already had a situation in Haiti. The guy came, make a long story short, I ended up finding her cheating with the guy. So we separated and I got a divorce from her. But the thing was, she sauced me up so good, I didn't realize I was just being played. You know what I mean? But that's not the point. The point is, once you find a good woman and you find that person for you, and God bless you with that good person, do the best you can when you can. And if it's not in the cards for you to be the good, be for anyone, then be the best for yourself sometimes. And I realize that you gotta love yourself too. The moment you love yourself, you ain't gotta look for nobody. That person gonna find you eventually.
Right, right, right on. Right on, right. Well, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining us here, uh, joining the Fatherhood Think Tank. Just show note, uh, just giving the update now because I have the early information. My nieces are in a big production here. I try to support them as much as possible. But we won't be having a show next week. Put out flyers for that. But we'll be right back here on the 6th. We'll be right back here on the 16th. This next Tuesday, I have to go with them and be that father figure that they need to come and support them at their performance. Hopefully I can convince my dad to come if he's not too busy. But
You know
I,
what, Ron? You stumbling up on something. What you basically said, I'm like, no, you entering the holiday weekend. So if you want to go ahead and go ahead on recess and start back up in January, it works the same way. Because my wife and I, that's why I came late today. We went to a tree lighting ceremony, and so I
I,
think,
I know, and as I look at it, I
uh,
think that I look at I think the 16th will. I think we will take the 16th. We'll have the show on the 16th, and it will be our holiday show before we take our break into the new year.
okay,
Uh,
fair enough.
just to, just to get that. But I know, and you're right. This is what's happening.
Mhm.
Next Tuesday is is their holiday show.
Okay, yeah,
And as we can trickle down, get closer after the 16th, most bets are off for any. So we will probably next week won't be here. So on the 16th we'll be back. Have our last show for 2025, and then we'll be back in January. I mean, in January, yeah, January. Okay, I gotta make sure because I sometimes mix up June, July, and January. But we'll be back in January. We'll be back in January with a whole new 2026 season. Well, I don't know if this is even season because we just be going. We be going like a marathon. We don't even. We not sprinters. We distance runners. So I just want to say that to the people
Right.
out there. Well, thank you for joining us. And Father, repeat after me. I am.
I am.
I
I
am.
am.
I am.
I am a
I
man of
am.
honor.
I am
I
a
am a
man
man
of
of
honor.
honor.
I am a man of
I
honor.
am.
I
I
am.
am.
I am.
I am.
I
I
am.
am.
I am.
I am a man of courage.
I
I am
am
a
a
man
I
of
man
am
of
a man of
courage.
courage.
I am.
I
I
am.
am.
I
I
am.
am.
I
I
am.
am.
I
I
am a
am.
man of respect.
I am
I
a
am a
man
man
of
of
I am a
respect.
man of respect.
Fathers, I say that I am.
I
I
am.
am.
I say
I
that we
am.
are.
You are.
You are.
I say that we are
You are.
We
We are.
are
championship
championship
fathers.
Yo. Yes,
See, listen,
sir.
that's what I love. Listen, now when you know you got the team, you can mess up and they gonna bring it back to the right place. I'm over here by the show. I gotta get the sport in me. Because the weather is bad and it catching me like catching me every night. I gotta make sure I have a hot compress on my neck so I don't catch the 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 the, the bug or whatever it is. So, but again, thanks to everybody for joining us. We will see you here again next week. Not next week, but on the 16th for
On
our
the
final show
16th.
On
for
the
the
16th. Hold on. I'm on the
16th.
live. Hold on one second.
16th, our final show for the weekend. I mean, for the year, and then we'll
Okay.
be back in the new year. Good night, and thank you for joining us.
Good night, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, guys.